Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're getting into edible plants.
Ooh, fun.
In the wild.
Okay.
You provided some excerpts from the Art of Manliness's Ultimate Guide to Wild Edible Plants.
Right.
And it's really interesting because it's based on this 1969 Army Survival Manual.
Wow.
So we're going to learn what the soldiers knew
Okay.
about how to eat in the wild and,
Yeah.
It says here that there's over 120,000 edible plant species
That's
out
incredible.
of 300,000.
It's amazing how nature provides for us.
Yeah, that's a lot of plants to learn.
Yeah. We won't be covering all 120,000 today, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm excited to dive into some of the most fascinating examples and, talk about the practical side of things too.
Yeah, how to actually identify and use these plants.
Exactly.
But, looking at that number, it really makes you think everything is edible.
Right. You would think that, but it's really important to remember that we need to be careful about just assuming anything in the wild is safe to eat.
Well, how do we avoid falling for that myth then?
Well, the guide emphasizes that many plants have only specific edible parts,
Okay.
and some require specific preparation methods like cooking to remove toxins.
Yeah.
For example, wild potatoes.
There are wild potatoes.
Yeah, they exist.
I thought potatoes were just agricultural products.
Well, of course, we've cultivated them for centuries,
Mm-hmm.
but their wild ancestors are still out there.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding their origins can actually help us appreciate the food we eat even more.
So we can't just, eat any potato we find.
Exactly. You have to know which parts are safe and how to prepare them.
Okay.
You might also be tempted to just observe what animals are eating
Right.
and follow their lead, but
Oh, if a deer eats it, I can eat it.
yeah, that's what you might think.
Okay.
But it's actually really important to be cautious because their digestive systems are different from ours.
Oh, right.
And what's safe for them might not be safe for us.
That makes sense.
So, we need to rely on knowledge and experience and not just our instincts.
So we've established that we need to be cautious and knowledgeable.
Right.
But now I'm even more intrigued to learn what we can eat.
Okay, great.
What's out there? What's safe?
Well, let's start with what lies beneath the surface.
Okay.
Roots, tubers, and bulbs.
Like potatoes.
Exactly like wild potatoes.
Okay.
But there's so much more.
Interesting.
These often get overlooked, but they're packed with nutrients,
Uh-huh.
and they've been essential for human survival throughout history.
Okay, so roots and tubers, a culinary adventure underground.
I like that.
I'm ready to dig in.
All right, well, you already mentioned wild potatoes,
Right?
but have you ever heard of Solomon's seal?
Solomon seal.
Yeah, it's a plant that produces these tubers that taste like parsnips.
Oh, wow.
And it has a really interesting history. In some cultures, it was actually a vital famine food,
Oh, wow.
providing sustenance when other sources were scarce.
Parsnips are delicious.
Yeah, so Solomon's seal, a real lifesaver in tough times.
That's amazing how people had to rely on these plants,
Absolutely.
especially during those times.
Yeah, it's a reminder of how resourceful people can be.
And how important it is to know about these things.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
So are there any other, unexpected culinary gems waiting to be unearthed?
How about water chestnuts?
Water chestnut.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about those crunchy slices you get in a can.
Right.
We're talking about actual nuts
Yeah.
from a spiky plant that grows in water.
Wait, water chestnuts are nuts?
Yeah, it's a common misconception.
I always thought they were like a root vegetable.
Nope, they're nuts.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show you how much I still have to learn.
It's all about expanding our horizons, right?
Right, and challenging our assumptions.
Exactly, and exploring wild edibles can really open our eyes to the diversity and ingenuity of nature.
Okay, so we've got wild potatoes, Solomon's seal water chestnuts, all underground.
Yeah, all hiding beneath the surface.
What about above ground?
Well, there's a whole world of edible shoots and stems.
Okay, like asparagus.
Yeah, kind of like a wilderness version of asparagus hunting.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's a fun way to think about it.
Okay, so what kind of shoots and stems can we find out there?
Well, imagine you're trekking through a desert landscape
Okay.
and you come across a mescal plant.
Mescal.
Yeah, it has this stalk that when you roast, it yields a sweet molasses-like flavor.
Ooh, like a natural candy.
Exactly like nature's candy.
Wow, I never would guess that something so sweet could thrive in such a harsh environment.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how adaptable plants can be.
That's true.
And that adaptability has been key to human survival
Right.
in all sorts of environments.
Throughout history.
Exactly. So mescal, one example.
Okay.
Have you ever considered eating bamboo?
Bamboo.
Yeah.
Like pandas eat.
Well, not the mature stalks that are used for building,
Right.
but the young shoots.
Oh, okay.
They're quite edible after boiling.
I always associate bamboo with building material.
Right. But it's a versatile plant
Wow.
with multiple uses.
So bamboo shoots, what about ferns?
Ferns.
Yeah, I've always thought they were cool.
Yeah, they are.
But I never thought about eating them.
Well, some varieties actually have edible fiddleheads.
Fiddleheads.
Yeah, they're the young curled fronds.
Huh.
They have unique flavor and texture, and the guide actually explains how to identify and prepare them safely.
So we've gone from roots and tubers to shoots and stems.
That's right.
I'm starting to see the forest for the trees.
I see what you did there.
What about leaves? Can I pack a salad bowl for our next foraging adventure?
You absolutely could.
Real.
The world of edible leaves is huge. You
Wow.
can use them for salads, soups, all sorts of things.
So give me some examples.
Okay, how about the baobab tree?
The baobab.
Yeah, it's native to Africa.
Okay.
It's that majestic tree with the massive trunk.
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, sometimes they're so wide you could live inside them.
Oh.
And guess what? The leaves are edible.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
they use them a lot for soups.
That's incredible. A tree you can live in with edible leaves.
Nature is full of surprises.
You mean other one?
Okay, how about the tea plant?
Tea plant.
Yeah, it's from the South Pacific.
Okay.
Has these really large, striking leaves
Uh-huh.
that you can eat raw or cook.
Okay, so I'm picturing a wild salad with baobab leaves, tea plant leaves,
Looking good?
maybe some water lettuce.
You got it.
Wait, that's a thing?
Yeah, just like regular lettuce, but it grows floating on water
Wow, where does it grow?
in tropical regions.
Wow, nature is so diverse.
It really is. And remember, leafy greens are packed with essential vitamins,
So they're important for survival.
especially in situations where you might not have access to a variety of foods.
It's amazing how something as simple as a salad could be so crucial.
It is right.
So we've explored the world of roots and tubers.
Mm-hmm.
We've ventured into shoots and stems.
Yep.
And now leaves.
It's been a journey,
It has.
and we're just getting started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a whole world of edible nuts, seeds, and fruits out there.
Okay. I'm ready. Let's keep going.
All right, let's dive in.
Lead the way. Okay, so from leafy greens to nuts.
Exactly. Nuts are nature's little powerhouses.
Really?
Yeah, they're packed with protein, healthy fats, all sorts of good stuff.
I can see why they've been such a vital food source,
Oh, absolutely.
throughout history.
They've sustained humans for millennia,
Wow.
and their history is really intertwined with the development of cultures and civilizations.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
So what kinds of nuts can we actually find in the wild?
Well, let's start with acorns.
Acorns.
Yeah, you might not think of them as nuts right away,
No, not really.
but they've played a huge role in human history.
Really?
Yeah, and the guide actually explains how to process them to remove their bitterness.
I always thought acorns were too bitter to eat.
They can be, but indigenous cultures have figured out how to leach out the tannins.
Tannins?
Yeah, they're the compounds that make them bitter.
Oh, okay.
So you soak and rinse them repeatedly, and it removes the bitterness.
Huh. So you can make acorns edible.
Exactly.
What other nuts are worth foraging for?
Well, chestnuts are a classic.
Chestnuts.
Yeah, roasting them over an open fire is a tradition in many parts of the world.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But you can also boil them or grind them into flour.
Chestnut flour.
Yeah, it's pretty versatile.
And what about almonds?
Almonds.
Yeah.
Well, their wild counterparts are quite different from the ones we buy in the store.
Oh, I bet.
They have unique taste and texture.
I can imagine there's something special about the flavor of wild foods,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like a direct connection to the land and the history of the people who lived off it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really fascinating to think about how domestication has changed the nuts we eat today.
In what way?
Well, wild almonds, for example,
Okay.
they used to be quite bitter, and they actually contained a compound that released cyanide when you ate them.
Oh, wow. That's dangerous.
Yeah. But through careful selection and cultivation over time,
Uh-huh.
humans were able to develop the sweet, safe almonds that we enjoy today.
Wow. It's incredible to think about how people figured that out.
It really is. It speaks to human ingenuity.
Yeah, and our connection to nature.
Exactly.
So we've covered nuts. What about seeds and grains?
Seeds and grains, they're the tiny but mighty members of the edible plant world.
Tiny but mighty. I like that.
Yeah, they're packed with energy.
Uh-huh.
And they've played a crucial role in the development of agriculture
Right.
and early civilizations.
Okay, so what are some examples of lesser-known seeds that we should be on the lookout for?
Well, one intriguing example is sea auroch.
Sea auroch.
Yeah, it's this resilient plant that grows in harsh coastal environments,
Okay.
like salt marshes and beaches.
Wow, so it can handle salt.
Yeah, It thrives in those conditions.
Huh.
And its tiny seeds are edible.
Wow. Seoriac, never heard of that one.
It's a testament to how adaptable plants can be.
That's true. What else is out there?
Well, there's also St. John's bread.
St. John's bread?
Yeah, it's a tree found in arid regions around the Mediterranean.
Okay.
It produces these pods with sweet pulp and edible seeds.
Huh.
And, the seeds were once used as a unit of measurement for precious metals.
Really?
Yeah, the word carat is actually derived from the Greek word for the seed of the St. John's bread tree.
Wow, that's a cool fact. St. John's bread. It sounds almost biblical.
It does have a certain ring to it, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a reminder of the long history between plants and humans.
It is for sure.
And foraging for seeds and grains is really connected to the development of agriculture.
Oh, how so?
Well, imagine those early humans carefully gathering these tiny seeds, learning how to process and store them, and then eventually cultivating them to create a more reliable food supply.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a fascinating story of human innovation and our evolving relationship with nature.
From tiny seeds to the foundations of civilization.
It's quite a journey.
It is. So we've gone from nuts to seeds. Now I'm ready for the grand finale.
Okay, fruits. Nature's sweet reward.
I can almost taste the sweetness.
They offer a burst of flavor and essential vitamins. They've played a vital role in human nutrition.
Right.
And inspired culinary traditions all over the world.
It's like nature saying, go ahead, enjoy this.
Exactly.
So what kind of variety can we find in the wild when it comes to fruits?
Well, have you ever heard of a rose apple?
Rose apple?
Yeah, it's this unique tropical fruit.
Okay.
Found in Southeast Asia. And it's neither a rose nor an apple.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got a delicate floral aroma and a crisp, juicy texture.
Rose apple, that's a new one for me.
See, this deep dive is introducing you to all sorts of new things.
It is. I'm loving it. What about some fruits that might be a bit more familiar?
Okay, well, there are wild huckleberries, blueberries, and whortleberries.
Okay, those I know.
Yeah, they're classics for a reason. They're delicious.
And I bet they taste even better when you find them yourself.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing quite like foraging for your own food.
So is there anything else that's really unique and memorable when it comes to wild fruits?
How about breadfruit?
Breadfruit?
Yeah, it's this large starchy fruit.
Okay.
It's a staple food in many tropical regions, especially in Polynesia.
Interesting.
The name is quite fitting because when you cook it, it has a texture similar to freshly baked bread.
Wow.
And a slightly sweet, nutty flavor.
So it's actually like bread.
Yeah, it's a really important food source in Polynesian culture.
Breadfruit, that's amazing. I love how this deep dive is connecting food and history and culture.
Me too. It's all intertwined.
So from nuts to seeds to fruits, it seems like there's this deep connection between wild edible plants and human history.
There really is. It's a story of survival ingenuity and our evolving relationship with nature.
That's beautiful.
But remember, not all fruits are safe to eat.
Right. Good point.
You have to be able to tell the difference between ripe and unripe fruits and avoid any poisonous varieties.
Okay.
Careful observation and research are key.
So safety first.
Always.
All right. So we've covered roots, shoots, leaves, nuts, seeds, fruits. Is there anything else we're missing in the world of wild edible plants?
Well, the guide does mention a couple more unexpected food sources.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they might raise an eyebrow or two.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Bark and seaweed.
Bark and seaweed.
Yeah.
Those don't exactly sound appetizing.
I know. They might not be the first things that come to mind.
Yeah.
But in survival situations, they can be valuable resources.
Okay. How so?
Well, the guide explains how to prepare pine bark for consumption.
Pine bark.
Yeah, you remove the outer bark and then you strip the inner bark. And you can grind it into flour or even eat it raw in small amounts.
Pine bark flour. Wow, I never would have guessed.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what you can do with plants.
What about seaweed?
Seaweed is packed with nutrients.
Really?
Yeah, especially iodine and vitamin C. It's been a staple food in coastal cultures for centuries.
Right.
And is becoming more and more popular worldwide for its health benefits.
Interesting.
You can eat it fresh dried or add it to soups and stews.
Okay, so pine bark flour, seaweed. It's incredible how resourceful people can be, you know?
It shows you that food can be found in the most unexpected places.
It really does.
As long as you know where to look and how to use it safely.
Exactly. This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the amazing diversity of nature.
Me too. And it highlights the incredible human ability to adapt and thrive in different environments.
So from pine bark flour to seaweed, Wow, this deep dive has been full of surprises.
It really has.
We've gone from the roots to the fruits and everything in between.
Yeah, we've unearthed the whole treasure trove of edible plants.
We have, and it's fascinating to think about how people have used these plants for, survival and sustenance for so long.
Absolutely. It's a testament to human ingenuity and our connection to nature.
What stands out to you as the biggest takeaway from all this?
I think for me, it's the sheer abundance and diversity of edible plants out there.
Right.
We often take our food for granted, forgetting that it all comes from nature.
Right.
But this deep dive has really reminded us of that connection.
Yeah, it's been eye-opening for sure. I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for the plants around me now.
That's great to hear.
So it's not just about survival, though, right?
No, not at all.
There's more to it.
Learning about wild, edible plants can deepen our connection to nature.
Mm-hmm.
It can enhance our understanding of different cultures.
Right.
And it can inspire us to be more resourceful and creative in our own kitchens.
Yeah, totally. I feel like this deep dive has opened up a whole new world of possibilities.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm already thinking about planning a foraging expedition.
That's great.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to learn more about wild edible plants and maybe start incorporating them into their lives?
Well, I would say start by doing your research.
Okay.
There are tons of great field guides, websites, even foraging classes available.
Oh, cool.
And hands-on experience with a knowledgeable guide is really invaluable.
Right.
Especially for learning to identify plants safely.
So ethical foraging is important too.
Oh, absolutely. We need to be respectful of the environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And make sure we're harvesting sustainably so these resources are available for future generations.
Right. Leave no trace.
Exactly.
It's also important to remember that some plants are poisonous.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we should never eat anything unless we're 100% sure of what it is.
Absolutely. When in doubt, leave it out.
Okay, good advice.
So
speaking of testing our knowledge, I have a final thought-provoking question for you.
Okay, hit me.
Imagine you're in a survival situation.
Okay.
You have to rely on wild edibles for food.
All right.
What 3 plants from our deep dive would you prioritize finding and why?
That's a tough one. There's so many good options.
I know.
But I think I would go with cattails first.
Cattails.
Yeah, they're super versatile. You can eat the roots, the shoots, even the pollen.
Oh, wow.
And they grow in abundance near water.
Right.
So they're usually pretty easy to find.
That makes sense. What about the other 2?
Okay. For my second choice, I'd probably go with acorns. Yeah, they're widely available, and they're a great source of calories and nutrients once you know how to process them.
Good point. And for the final plant?
I think I'd go with some wild berries.
Berries, okay.
Like huckleberries or blueberries. They're packed with vitamins.
Uh-huh.
And they'd provide a much-needed touch of sweetness.
I like it you've considered both nutrition and availability.
Yeah, those are key factors in a survival situation.
They are. So this deep dive has not only taught us about edible plants,
Right.
but it's also made us think about how we would use them in different situations.
Exactly. It's all about connecting knowledge with practical application.
Well, it's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.
Likewise.
And I think we've both learned a lot.
I agree.
So to our listeners, remember, knowledge is power when it comes to foraging.
Stay curious. Learn about the plants in your area.
And always forage responsibly.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy foraging.
So